Hi, I'm Jan from Max and Low Code, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use multiple fonts in Mendix Studio Pro. To begin with, we start with importing multiple fonts into Mendix Studio Pro. Then we're going to set up our fonts so it can be used in Studio Pro, and we wrap up this tutorial with implementing multiple fonts into a single page. So let's start with downloading the free fonts from the internet by just searching for it, and I'll just pick 3 random kind of exaggerated fonts for this tutorial. So once we've downloaded the 3 fonts, we will open Studio Pro and we're going to navigate to the fonts folder. Here we copy the zip files into this folder, we extract the zip files, and what I will do in this case is I'm going to rename the files to an easy to write name. There is one additional thing that I have to do, and that is bringing the actually font file one level up. As you can see in the folders, there is a subfolder that holds the actually font file. I want to bring it one level up because it saves me some time and space in order to write it in our Studio Pro later. In Studio Pro, we are going to build our custom UI module for setting up our custom fonts. We do that by creating a new module, and we're going to assign it as a UI resource. Once we have our UI module in place, we create our font as CSS file and list it to the main module. Now we're going to create a little script in order to let Mendix Studio Pro knows that there are additional fonts. We do this by defining the font face with the exact location of the font files. We can find the exact location in the default font of Studio Pro, which is called Open Sans. When we open this, we can see here the source with the exact source format. So let's copy this and use it in our script. Now we must replace the default naming with our custom file names and folder names. So we navigate back to the folder and make sure that we double check the folder name and of course the name of the font file itself. So for now I'm going to adjust the folder name and file names, and I'm going to set the correct and full source URL. So now that we have completed defining our font and its location, we can now create the classes that call our fonts when they are triggered by the design properties, which we of course will build a little bit later. So now that we've set everything in place for our custom font script, it's time to build our design properties. And the design properties are basically scripts that we're going to build in a way so that the visualization of these design properties can be used in the property panel of your Studio Pro. So the design property script starts with defining for which component the design properties are. In our case, it's a container. We start with giving it a name, Then we give it a type, and in our case it will be a drop down, since we have 3 options that the user can choose from, or actually your developer can choose from. And eventually we will fill the option with a name, which is what the user sees, and the class, which is the definition that we'll call the font eventually. And now that we have everything in place, let's check the design properties of a container. And as you can see here, we have the font type property with 3 options. So let's try a different one for this container and a different one for the top container. And we can switch to the design mode for checking the result. And as we can see, we have 2 different fonts on our screen. So this brings us also to the end of this tutorial, and in which we use multiple fonts in Mendix for Studio Pro. We have looked at how to import multiple fonts into Mendix Studio Pro, and we created there a import script for. We used our fonts in Studio Pro through the design properties. Remember the div container that we used, or that we kind of defined in our design properties in order to get a visual element in our Studio Pro to work with it, so our developers now can use several fonts right out of the properties of their pages. And if you have any comments or feedback on this tutorial, please drop it in the comments below. Really appreciate it, and for now, keep learning.